we kept meeting the same truth, but from different words. So people care, but they don't feel understood in my experience. So that is why we are here, to show what happens when empathy becomes the bridge, when charities and businesses stop working apart and finally begin to understand each other. This is the Human Advantage podcast that we want to build together. So I'm very, very curious, Karen, what gap did you keep seeing in your world that made you realize you couldn't close it alone? And why did it become clear that we needed to join our forces?
Good question. I think if you work in the charity sector, you already know the story that charities are constantly doing more with less. Funding is tight. Expectations are keep doing more, and teams end up stretching themselves, paper thin, just to the point of just juggling balls. And because of that pressure, I see something happening time and time again. Organizations trying to put the roof on, for want of a better word, on the charity, on the house, before their foundations have been put in the ground. And so they launch campaigns without the clarity, they're chasing funding without the strategy, and they jump into partnerships without the alignment. And everybody's working harder, but not necessarily working in the right direction for the long-term stability. And they haven't got the same message. And so the empathy is not there. It's a very messy journey. So for me, I realized something really important. Even when the strategy is rock solid, even when the foundations are in place, the message doesn't always land. So the story doesn't resonate. And that's the important thing, the storytelling, how you get your message across. And in a world that's very noisy, where we've got lots of platforms to communicate, the attention to that detail and the empathy is the new currency, for want of a better word. And I think that's why I reached out to you, Alessandro. I've admired your work. I've personally worked with you when I set up my own business. And the more we worked together and the more that I understood the meaning behind empathy, not as a nice to have, but as a strategic advantage, I thought we've got to work together. That is the gap. That's the missing thing. The charities are great at talking about what we do, but they don't really very good at the why or the how or really that storytelling. So Alessandro, we've been working on my business, but the gap was we could do more to help charities. When I reached out to you, was it immediate? Yes. How did you feel about it? Could you see our two worlds coming together for the benefit of everybody?
The answer was maybe, let me think about. And the reason for that is that we need to think about what is the current problem. Because if a person doesn't have a problem and we try to fix a problem that the person is not aware of, it's quite difficult to convince, for example, a charity or an organization to work together. But then I thought, let me go to, back to the consumer psychology. We need to understand who is the people that you are helping, what's the audience, what emotional language they speak, and why they should choose you. So then I thought, okay, charities, for example, have a very, very strong maybe purpose, mission, but they don't communicate. They might not feel confident in promoting themselves to the external world. So I said, let me take this as a challenge for myself, because I never work with the charities, for example, but you have an extension experience working with charities. So I thought, let me try to see whether my consumer psychology background can help a charity that already have maybe speak exactly the same language that they need to speak, but they don't feel confident. They might not have a structure. They don't know what are the marketing assets and the marketing activities that they need to use. And I'm very, very strong in that regard. So then when I took maybe a couple of days thinking about yes, no, maybe working with Karen, with the Human Advantage podcast and the workshop and webinars, I said yes. I said yes, because now I can see that my area of expertise and your expertise with the charities organizations is a very, very good fit, because
Yeah.
they speak the same language, but they might not feel confident or know exactly what are the tools to promote themselves.
Yeah.
So I thought about, after 2 days, I said, yes, this is going to be a big yes, a massive yes.
You snapped off my hand, didn't you, Alessandro? So for me, given the work that we've done together, empathic marketing for me is definitely the missing piece. Our two worlds coming together to help everybody is going to be an important journey for them. For me, I believe it's what's going to help organizations communicate in a way that captures people's attention, build trust. That's a really important one, building trust, and brings partners together on a journey, because strategy without empathy is just a plan.
Yes.
But empathy without strategy is just good intention, I guess. But when you bring the two worlds together, that's when you get the real impact. And that's my passion for the charity, society, the charity sector. I'm a real believer that without the sector, it will be detrimental to society. Us working together and really, utilizing the skills, the value of empathic marketing is going to benefit not only charities, corporate organization, individuals, SMEs, solopreneurs. It benefits everybody. So what I'm interested in, though, to ask you, Alessandro, in particular, is in a world that's dominated by AI right now, the human advantage has never been more important. So how can we encapsulate empathic marketing? How can we use it to play to its strength, that people can see that, yes, AI is valuable, but actually the human advantage and the way that we communicate is something that must remain?
If we need to define, or if I need to define, but I know that now we have discussed and we are on the same page. What is for us the human advantage? When we take into consideration AI is going to be our companion. We can't say AI is going to disappear, because we know that it's going to be part of our life.
Yeah.
But when I think about the human advantage and the connection between the human advantage and empathic marketing, there are two things that they are in common. One is empathic marketing is equal listening. You need to listen the other person. Whether the other person is a prospect, potential customer, potential client, or someone within your organization, your team or your team, or like a department, that is listening. You need to listen. AI cannot listen to you at the moment. But what is really, really important is not just listening, it is also reading the room. What is an advantage for us as humans, and AI cannot emulate this, is read the room. It's not what people say, it's also what people are not saying. They may be emotional, the emotions, the facial expressions are things that are part of the empathic marketing. So what is really, really important, and I really love your analogy of the house, you need to build the house by knowing exactly at what stage what to say and what not to say. And you can just do this by reading the room, by reading the emotions of the other person, things that AI cannot do because the AI does not have the context. And reading the emotions, there are so many things that we take for granted, but they are so essential for being empathic, for reading the room, reading the other person, knowing what to say and not to say. So for me, AI can help us for tasks that are easy to replicate, like maybe write an email with X, Y, and Z, and we're going to repeat the same email multiple times. But we're going to refine, so the cherry on the cake, the 20%, is based on us as humans. Because we want to read the other person, we want to read the room, we want to really understand how can I tailor my communication in a way that resonates with the other person. AI at the moment cannot read the room and cannot understand the emotion of a person. This is my experience, my point of view.
I think, tapping into what you just said, equal listening and that two-way communication, I think it is a valuable skill that, in a world that's become so fast-paced, we lose that essence. And I think that listening is really important. And I think this plays into why our partnership brings everything together. The strategic foundations charity desperately need, and the human centered storytelling that helps them grow. So I think if you're a charity or a company, corporate organization wanting to create purpose-led impact and not just activity, then welcome to our podcasts. And the work and the information that we're going to share to benefit everybody, really, in making sure they are storytelling, they are listening. It's a powerful way to start.
In particular, now I was listening what you didn't say, but you meant to say, and this is like practice what we are gonna preach, is so many people have so many different tools, let's call tools or marketing assets, and they don't know how to leverage. They want more things, while in reality, we're gonna help them to leverage the existing resources. Yes, we're gonna help them to save marketing costs, know exactly what you have and what you need to focus your attention on, rather than adding extra things, because adding extra things are going to be more expensive, but also slow down your growth.
So we'll save money, generate income, but actually have greater impact through the work that we do.
When you say impact, that is the reason why I said yes, working together for the partnership. So we work together for the 12 months on Charitable, but then the impact is what made me say yes to you. I had to spend maybe a couple of days thinking about everything, but I want to help. I want to be part of your mission to help the charities and the organization to have an impact that resonate with their audience, rather than just see other people as a number.
Yeah, definitely. People-centered.
Yes.
We're together on purpose, Alessandro.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to build the podcast called The Human Advantage. We're going to have like workshops, webinars, and watch this space.
Yeah, exciting times ahead.